Let's talk the pros of buying a house and using equity the right way. And one day, maybe you can buy your dream house off using equity and not your hard-on cash. Understand? Let's say you get a house, you buy a house for $150,000, right? Or $100,000. Let's use $100,000. You get a house, so your down payment, you put your down payment down, you move in, you paying your month-to-month mortgage. So your down payment and your month-to-month mortgage you've been paying, that's all equity you building up, right? Let's say you stand there about 2 or 3 years. In 2 or 3 years, your neighborhood go up, your house value go up. The things around your house change. They put a Chick-fil-A over there. They put a Starbucks over there. They put Harris Teeters and Publix over there, which up the value. Maybe they put a new school over there. Maybe they build a big new school that's a real good school, private school over there. Maybe they build a hospital right down the street, a mile or two right down the street, which make your property value and your neighborhood go up through the roof, right? So now let's say you live in there 2 years, 3 years. So the house was $150,000, $100,000. Now let's say the house worth $300,000. If you was to sell it right then and there, it's worth $300,000. So now you done built that extra gain of equity in the house. So it was $100,000, $300,000, that's $200,000 worth of equity you could pull. Now usually with the banks usually will give you the loan on the equity to about between 75% to about 90% of the equity that you build up. Understand that they ain't gonna give you the whole 100%, so you wouldn't get the whole 200,000. So they gave you the low end, you might get 150,000, you might get 140, you might get 170. You know what I'm saying? Around that ballpark, right? You get the equity, they give you the loan, you get the equity. You say you found a dream house. Your dream house, 400,000, 500,000. You find that, and instead of you taking a loan out and getting a new house, you're taking a loan out for the whole 500,000. Now you got a whole 140,000, equity that you can put down into it. So now it make your new house, if it's 500,000, you put 150,000 into it. Now your loan is only 350,000 instead of the 500,000. Much bigger house, maybe 5,000, 6,000 square feet, maybe 4,000 or whatever. However, wherever you live at, it's different, situations for different cities and states. Now in America, we got this thing called capital gain tax. Understand? And right now, Biden, he trying to double the numbers. So right now, if you single, you can get up to $250,000 in capital gain tax. If you marry, you can get up to $500,000 in capital gain tax. Understand? But you got to be living in that property for 2 years out of 5 years. So if you just live there a year and 6 months, no, you don't qualify. You got to be living you got to be living there for 2 years or more out of the last 5 years. Understand? So that means through the capital gain tax situation, you won't pay no taxes on your equity unless it's over the equity you pull out from your house, unless it's over 250-some thousand. So remember I said your house was 100,000. So you probably put about $5,000 down. So you owe 90-some thousand, or your house was 150,000, you owe still 100,000. So your equity, if the house now worth 300,000, your equity was 200-some thousand, you still fall under the 250,000 if you single, let alone if you married. So you won't get taxed on the equity the bank just gave you. Understand that. And you switching it from one property to another one. So you be all good on that. You gotta understand how this game works. It's all a game. You just gotta play by the rules. So then you move out of that property, move into your dream house, and then you move somebody else in that your old property and let them pay back pretty much really, or let different renters pay off the house for you, pay the money back and pay off the house. And if you can, make some new income or more income, some extra income, maybe you can double up on your payments. You never know, it depends on how your cash flow roll in. This is why when you're picking your first house, you always want to pay attention to the schools that's around the area. You want to pay attention to the hospitals that's around the area. You want to pay attention to the violence that's around the area. Because you move into a neighborhood, you're trying to be cheap or trying to get a deal. You move into a neighborhood that's doing a lot of drilling, a lot of killing, a lot of robbing, a lot of theft, and a lot of raping, yeah, you ain't gonna get a lot of equity. The value ain't gonna go up. Unless they really just change everything and kick everybody out. Yeah, you gotta hope and pray on some situation like that. Yeah, you might well go ahead and click off this video because it ain't gonna happen for you. Understand that. So you wanna always try to stay in a decent middle class and up type of area. I always look at the number 2 things you wanna look at is the schools and the hospitals. Understand that. And I always check the crime rate. Now, crime can happen anywhere, but there's a difference between 1 or 2 murders, some, family disputes, and 10 to 20 shootings, and, all this theft and all that there, and predators and sex predators and all that there. You gotta look at all that. All that stuff bring the property value down. Understand that. But let's say you do gotta get one of them houses that's in a bad neighborhood. You gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta fit what's in your budget. This is when your property value do go up, if anything change, this is when you don't get the equity out. You sell. You don't get the equity out and then borrow from the bank and then put somebody in the rent. No, you sell. Or you build enough equity as far as paying off the house, yeah, you sell it. Say the equity go up 50,000, 100,000, or 75,000, 60,000. You sell it. You don't rent it out. You got to understand when you're supposed to sell versus rent. Prime example. So let's say you bought a bando for about 40 or 50,000. You fix it up, you put some rehab money into it. Now, 2 or 3 years later, now it's worth 140,000, 100,000, 130,000. You sell that. You don't rent that out. You don't borrow money from the bank. No, you go ahead and sell it and move on to the next project. If you don't understand that and you don't learn that, real estate gonna be a nightmare for you. Yeah, don't think of something cheap. And if you don't know how to rent and sell and all that there, you don't really learn the game. You just think you're just gonna make all this passive income. Yeah, real estate that hurt a lot of feelings. Real estate that made a lot of people file bankruptcy and all that there and lose everything. Don't think everybody just win over here in this game right here, man. Understand that. Sometimes with the bando or a property like that, it might only go up 20 or 30,000. Yeah, sell that. It been 4 or 5 years, only went up 20, 30,000. Yeah, go ahead and sell that. You got your money back and you gain another 20 to 30,000. Go ahead and sell that, man. Dump it back into real estate so you won't have to pay taxes on it. Now, if you spend $1 out the goddamn money, you got to pay taxes on it. Understand? You got to pay the game. You can finesse the game and do little tricks and get over it while you playing the game, but you got to play the games by their rules. Understand that. Now, if you bought a house in a bad neighborhood or a neighborhood that went bad and the market that went down, your house value that went down, now the house worth less and you owe more than what the house worth, then that's when you rent out. And then you may possibly gain some equity in the future. It might take years, but yeah, you don't sell. Yeah, you rent out and you charge more money to rent. And you might got to rent out to people who don't qualify to rent nowhere else. So they give you the right to charge more money. You might not check credit. Now you can go through some cons, like tear up your house or something like that, but you got to roll the dice. You might have to rent out to somebody that got 2 or 3 evictions on their jacket. You would have charged a regular person $900. You charge them $1,300 to live there because they don't qualify. And they'll pay it because they don't got nowhere else to go, or they don't got nobody else to give them a chance. Especially if you done rehab the place, you done redid the kitchen, the bathroom, and yeah, you the best they gonna get. Understand it? They'll pay it. They'll pay it.